अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। संसारदावानललीढलोकत्राणाय कारुण्यघनाघनत्वं प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरोः श्रीचरणारविन्दं। साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रैर्उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्यः प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरोः श्रीचरणारविन्दं। यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्याप्रसादान्न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायन् स्तुवंस्तस्य यशस्त्रिसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरोः श्रीचरणारविन्दम्। सर्वेभ्यो नमः, सर्वेषां कृते नमस्कारः. We have completed 17 shlokas in the 18th chapter before the last session. Today we are about to start the 18th shloka. To do a quick recap of what we studied earlier, we are talking about the theory of karma. So in the last class, we spoke about the 5 factors of action: adhishthanam tata karta, karanam cha prithagvidam, vividhascha prithak cheshtaha, daivam chaivatra panchamam. The body, then the jivatma who is endowed with ahankara, thinks of himself as something else other than the jivatma. Karanam, the different senses and the mind. Then the pranas, the activities the pranas do. And finally, the supreme being, Paramatma, the universal being, who is situated inside every living being. All of these factors are responsible for all the action that happens in this material existence. The jivatma is just one element there. The jivatma's job is, or you can say the role is only to desire, and the desire and aim or endeavor for something within himself. But the actual execution of the action happens through the other factors. The jivatma actually does nothing. So when there is pure knowledge, when pure knowledge arises within the jivatma realizes this and becomes enlightened and becomes peaceful within, detaches himself from the ahankara. The ahankara becomes destroyed, or it vanishes, and the jivatma becomes free from it. In that state, there is pure knowledge. The jivatma is able to see that he is not the doer of anything. And so, when that happens, then there is no karma phala. We spoke last time about how for every action normally there is a phala, a fruit. It could be punya or papa. But when there is action performed in pure knowledge of not being the doer, in such a situation, there is no phala. So, devoid of karma phalam, that person actually starts experiencing what is called as mukti. Mukti means there is no reaction of any previous karma that has to be experienced in the future. So, with this background, we go forward, and Sri Bhagavan in the next sloka talks about how the connection exists between knowing and doing, knowledge and action. So, we go to the 18th shloka of the 18th chapter now. Jnanam jneyam parignyata trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividah karma sangraha. Jnanam jneyam parignyata trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividah karma sangraha. So this is the first of the 8 shlokas that we are going to study today. In this shloka, Sri Bhagavan talks about 3 knowledge related aspects to the process that underlies any action. So we have spoken about the 5 factors that lead to the action, and now he's talking about 3 knowledge related aspects in any process of action. So karma chodana, the word in the first line, refers to the vidhi or the process of action, and that involves 3 knowledge related elements. One is the knowledge jnana required to perform that action. Then jneya, that which is to be known, that is the knowledge about the action, what is to be done, what has to be done and how it is done, that knowledge. That is called jnaya, that which ought to be known. Because to perform any action, you need to have that knowledge to perform that action. And the knower, the person who knows this, is the parignyata. So, knowledge, jnana, jnaya, and parignyata. And Sri Bhagavan then points out, karanam karma karta iti, karteti, trividaha karma sangraha. So these are analogous to the three elements that constitute action in general. Karma sangraha means that which constitutes or comprises the key elements of action. Sangraha. So, what are those three? The instrument of action, the object of action, and the subject of action. Subject is the one who performs the action. Object is that which is the action performed upon, and instrument is the means through which the action is performed. So, for example, if I say that, let's look at a statement like this: Rama accomplished the task using the required knowledge. So, you can see Rama is the subject and it corresponds to the knower. He is the one who knows the action. The task, whatever task he is performing with his senses, whether it is knowing something, thinking about something, doing something, whatever it is, whatever that action is, that is the object of the action. That is called karma karakam. Karta karakam is the subject. Karma karakam is the object of the action. So, in a sentence, we call this as subject and object. And then the instrument of action. In this case, in the example given, it is the required knowledge to perform the task. So that is the instrument, and Sri Bhagavan then points out that that is the knowledge element. So through with the jnana, the knower knows what is to be known. The knower knows what is to be known through knowledge, through the instrument of knowledge. So jnanam, jnayam, parignyata. Three things are involved in any action, and they correspond to the karanam, karma, and karta. This mapping is there. So here he establishes that action involves a knowledge aspect as well. So this can be for any kind of action. We broadly spoke about two types of action. Action that leads to the karma phala, which is by default called karma. If it leads to punya, then that is called vihita karma, means the karma that is prescribed by the shastra that we ought to do. The karma that is in accordance with dharma, which is the principles of dharma, which doesn't go against dharma. Action which doesn't go against dharma, which is in alignment with dharma, leads to punya normally, normal action. But when action is done with the intention of not getting the phala, instead connecting with the Supreme, that is called yoga. That is called action in yoga. And that is what Gita is trying to teach us right from the second chapter onwards. So when action is performed in yoga, then either that phala doesn't come at all because the consciousness is very pure, or if the phala comes, then because of that consciousness of yoga, the doer, the person who is engaged in that action, offers it back to Bhagavan. So in Karma Yoga, everything is offered, Sarvam Krishnarpanamastu. All the phala that I have got, at the end of doing anything, the doer says that whatever good phala that comes from the good actions I have done, may that go to Bhagavan. I don't want it. I want to be free from all phalam, free from all fruits. Similarly, in bhakti, there is no offering after the action is performed because the action itself is offered to Bhagavan. Bhakti means every action that is done with the inspiration that this is pleasing to Bhagavan. So there is no question of karma phala and then offering it to Bhagavan. There is no aspiration for punya at all. The only aspiration there is to serve or to please Bhagavan. So both in karma yoga and in bhakti yoga, automatically this because of the presence of yoga, the karma becomes akarma. There is no connection with the phala. So karma which has no connection with the phalam is called akarma, and that is what is the path of mukti, the path to liberation from this material existence. So regardless of which type of action it is, whether it is karma or akarma, it doesn't matter, this applies. There is a knowledge aspect to it and there is the action aspect in it. Both are together in it. Now moving forward, the 19th shloka. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna bhedatah रोच्यते गुणसंख्याने यथावत् शृणुतान्यपि. So now he says that now I'm going to explain to you three elements which are important that I highlighted just now. Jnanam, the knowledge itself, which we are talking about, involved in the action. Then the action itself, and the doer of the action, the karta, can also be distinguished based on the three gunas. Okay, earlier we saw, for example, in the 17th chapter, we saw about distinctions between yajna, dana, tapasya, etc., on the basis of the three gunas. Similarly, then we saw about tyaga in the first part of the 18th chapter, which we have already covered. We saw how tyaga is distinguished in terms of the three gunas. So now he says that yes, likewise, jnana, the knowledge that a person has in performing action, the action that is performed itself, and the doer of the action, all of them also can be spoken about in terms of the three different gunas, sattvik or sattva, rajas, and tamas. So sattvika, rajasika, tamasika. Right? So how it's going to be? He says prochate guna sankhyane. Sankhyanam means in the enumeration or in the description, in the literature, in the theory on the gunas. Guna sankhyane, in the theory on the gunas, in the descriptions of the gunas, there is a distinction made between these on the basis of the gunas. I'm going to now explain to you. Listen to me. So in today's class, we will look at the first two, jnana and karma, and then in the next class, we will look at karta and take it forward. So first, on the jnana, the sāttvika jnana is described here in the 20th shloka. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayamikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajnanam viddhi sattvikam. Sarva bhuteshu yenaikam bhavam avyayamikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajnanam viddhi sattvikam. He says, Sarva Bhuteshu Yena Ekam Bhavam Avyayam Ikshate. In all the living beings, Sarva Bhuteshu Yena, by whom? Ekam Jnanam. He sees an identical living being. Ekam means he sees that this living being is identical to the other living being. There is no difference. Even though the external body is different, the living being is identical, the Jivatma. He is able to see because of the virtue of Shastra Jnanam. He knows Shastra, he has been contemplating on Shastra. He may not yet be a Mukta Atma, he may not be Mukta, he may not be free from the three gunas. That's why it is Sāttvika Jnana. He is not a Mukta Jivatma. He is a Baddha Atma still. He is under the influence of Sattva Guna. But because of the influence of Sattva, he adheres to what the Shastra says. And through the lens of the Shastra, this is called Achintya Jnana, because only through Shastra, it cannot be arrived at by logical reasoning. Through Shastric knowledge, Shastra says that a living being is the Jivatma. It is free from any upadhi. It has no bodily distinction. The body is distinct, but the Jivatma is the same, is identical. Right? And therefore, a person who can see that, bhavam avyayam. Avyayam means that jiska vyaya nahi hota hai, wo avyay hai, which doesn't get eroded, which doesn't get spent, which doesn't diminish, which doesn't degrade, which remains as it is, right? Avyaya, who is able to see that. Avyayam bhavam, that thing which exists is avyaya. And avibhaktam means it's undivided, it's part of one large universal entity. It is actually one large entity which in different forms is available here, right? Avibhaktam, vibhakteshu, in all the different bodies. There are different entities. There's so many different human beings. Then there are animals, there are plants, there are insects, there are reptiles, lizards. So many different creatures are visible, no doubt. But in all of them, there is one undivided entity which exists as different jivatmas everywhere, right? Tat jnanam vidhi sattvikam. A person who's able to see this, he has sattvika jnanam. And this is what Bhagavad Gita wants us to adopt. Bhagavad Gita wants us to see, Sri Bhagavan wants us to see this. If we see this, then the mind becomes very peaceful. There is no question of jealousy, there's no question of anger, there's no question of, even if we do get angry sometimes, because of this knowledge in us, we're able to bring our mind and senses under control again very quickly, right? If somebody is very advanced, very sattvic, then he's able to see everything with such a clear vision that even when there is a cause of disturbance, he knows that the three gunas are acting. He's able to see very clearly that actually the three gunas are acting in this situation, and therefore anger does not arise in him. He's able to watch it with complete detachment, dissociation. And because anger and jealousy and such kind of negative feelings, negative thoughts can never come in that person naturally experiences happiness all the time. That is why we say sattva guna is the basis for happiness in this world. In this world, as long as we live in this body, if we are very sattvic, then there is natural sense of happiness within us. Now we'll look at the next one. In 21st shloka of the 18th chapter, rājasa jnanam. पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ञानं नानाभावान् पृथग्विदान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि राजसम्. So now you can see the contrast. पृथक्त्वेन तु यत् ज्ञानं नानाभावान् पृथग्विदान्. So in all the different entities that are visible, different living beings are seen. Oh, this is a female, this is a male, this is a Hindu, this is a Christian, this is a Muslim. This is a human being, this is an elephant, this is a cow, this is a dog. So, seeing the differences. Similarly, within human beings, this is a big guy, bada admi hai. This is a small guy. So, it's not only about saying this, it's about how our actions change accordingly. Because we see these differences, we behave differently with respect to different living beings. So this kind of perception, this kind of vision is because of rājasa jnana, knowledge by which one sees in the universe living beings different from each other. Veti sarva bhuteshu tat jnanam rājasam. So in all the living beings, he sees very different distinctions. Tall guy, handsome guy, beautiful woman, ugly woman, old woman, young woman. So this differences without seeing the jivatma. Okay, even a person who is in sāttvika jnana is able to see that yes, there is a elephant here, there is a human being here. It's not that he cannot see the body. He sees both. He sees the body externally, simultaneously he also sees the identical jivatma in both of them. But the guy with the rājasa jnana sees only the body. He doesn't see the jivatma. That's the difference. It's not that the sāttvika person, because of seeing the identical nature, does not see the body difference between them. That would be stupid. That means he doesn't know how to act in this world. Naturally, when we practically act in this world, we have to act according to the differences in the bodies and the mentalities of those people. If I am dealing with a person of a particular mentality, then I should deal with that person according to that person's mentality. Similarly, animals. If I'm dealing with an animal of a particular type, then I deal with the animal the way in which that animal is meant to be dealt with. Right? So there are differences in the way in which the sattvic person also deals with different living beings, even though he can very clearly see that all there is one. There is one living being existing in different forms, in that the same identical jivatma exists everywhere. Okay, so this does not mean that we are implying an advaitic conclusion by saying that the identical jivatma exists. There is always bheda between the jivatmas, okay? But there is similarity in their nature. They are exactly identical in their nature. Then tāmasa jnana yattu krishnavat ekasmin karye saktamahetukam athatvarthavadalpam cha tattamasam udahritam. So this is where it becomes humorous. You see, the first two categories are present in, you can say, everywhere. We see that, of course, most people have rājasa jnana. Most of us have rājasa jnana. It's only when we study the shastra and contemplate on it and become absorbed in the shastra, when our mind is drowned in the shastric vision, then we are able to see things from a sattvic perspective. But tamasa jnana also is visible in this world. It says, Yattu kritsnavat ekasmin karye sakta mahaitukam. Ahaitukam means arbitrary. Hetu means a cause, a definite cause. So when somebody does not have a definite reason for doing or not doing something, they have no plan. They are acting randomly. Whatever the mind says, do that. Okay, you get up in the morning, you don't know what time you're going to get up. You get up when you feel like getting up. Then you get up and you don't know what to do. Whatever first comes to your mind, you do that. You have no plan. Okay, arbitrary. Everything is arbitrary. You roam around, then you feel like going and having some tea, you go have some tea, go smoke a cigarette somewhere. You feel like calling up a friend, you call him and ask him, hey, kya kar raha hai? So this way, the day just rolls on. You have no idea. Suddenly, you remember that there's going to be an exam tomorrow. Then you pick up some book and start reading it. So arbitrariness, arbitrarily, your knowledge is taking you here and there. And very often, ekasmin karye saktam means sometimes you'll see people obsessed with one type of activity. For example, nowadays, of course, we have the mobile phone with social media, WhatsApp, this and that. So you'll see somebody sitting there without anything and just sitting and going on browsing, okay, meaninglessly browsing, not knowing what to do, just whiling away time, just surfing this and that. Okay, ekasmin karye, or sometimes watching some serial on the TV. Time just goes, or going somewhere, just going for a walk, buying something and eating, and doing that again and again and again because there's nothing to do. You become obsessed with one type of activity, aimless. Okay, and that becomes everything for such a person. Atatvartham. Tattvartham means that which is substantial. Atatvartham means that which is insubstantial, which has no substance. Okay, arbitrarily, if you do this and that, then what is the substance? That activity will not take you anywhere. It may just get you into trouble after some time. Alpam means trivial. Sometimes trivial activities look like they are major activities. Okay, for example, you have to go and settle scores with someone. That fellow said something, उसने कुछ बताया. Then you have to go and tell him that no, that is not the way it is. You have to prove to him. He has to accept it. मान लो, बात मान लो. Go and fight with him. That becomes the most important thing. So for an intelligent person, that would be the most trivial thing. Why should I convince him? I have so many important things to do. Let that fellow think whatever he thinks. Okay, the intelligent fellow will just do that. But the unintelligent fellow who is under tamas, his knowledge is that this is most important. That fellow has to accept what I think is right. So you go and fight with him, pick up a quarrel. So insignificant activities become the most important activities for that person. Okay, tat tamasam udahritam. When you see a person whose life is guided by this kind of knowledge, then you know that person has tamasa knowledge, knowledge which is tamasa, under the influence of tamoguna. Then we go to karma. Three types of karma: sāttvika, rājasa, tāmasa. Niyatam, sangarahitam, aragadvesha kritam, aphala karma, yattat sāttvika muchyate. So you will see this theme repeated numerous times in the Gita, this theme about how karma ought to be done without attachment to the fruits of the karma. Right? So aphala prepsuna means a person who has no desire for the fruit of the activity. Aphala prepsuhu. Prepsa means desire or wanting, the want, the craving. Prepsa, ipsa, prepsa. Aphala prepsa means no phala prepsa, the absence of a craving for the fruit. Apala prepsuna, by somebody who has no craving for the fruit. Karma yat, that karma which is done by somebody without a craving for the fruit, which is niyatam. Niyatam means that which is mandated by the Shastra. Or you can say in today's society, we may not read the Shastra, but by virtue of being, in a particular situation, in our particular responsibility in the family or in our job, etc., there are certain duties mandated for us. We are expected to do that by the people whom we are connected to, the stakeholders of our life. So niyatam, that becomes niyatam. Ideally, it should be in accordance with the Shastra, but even if it is not in accordance with Shastra, we can take this to mean niyatam in this context. Sangarahitam means without liking or disliking. Sangarahitam is expanded as aragadveshatah kritam. Attachment to a particular work comes in two ways. One is you like that kind of activity, so you want to do more and more of it. For example, somebody may like programming more than writing an essay. Okay, so in activities which involve programming, he spends all the time because he's deeply attached to it. He doesn't like writing. If his job also involves writing, he will try to avoid that as much as possible. He'll want to do only programming. Okay, or let's say somebody in some role in the company enjoys talking to customers, enjoys that particular activity. Talking to customers is part of his responsibility. So he enjoys meeting customers, making phone calls to them, giving them gifts, maybe sometimes negotiating with them, etc. This kind of activity is very swabhavikally attractive to that person and he likes it. But after coming back, he has to write a report to, sort of describe all that happened and submit to the organization. It is the part of the job to write a report and submit it and file it. But that's a very horrible activity, writing for that person. So he doesn't like to do that. So he will postpone that work or somehow do it grudgingly. But somebody who is sattvic, when karma is done in a sattvic manner, there's no particular, I like this more than that. Okay, that may come from inside, but that person rejects it. No, everything is my duty. This has to be done, then this has to be done, then that has to be done. Everything should be done the way it is done. And I will like doing anything that is in the course of my duty. The liking is for the duty itself. The fact that I'm doing my duty gives a sense of liking to that person. Duty mindedness, that is kartavyata. Duty mindedness. The liking comes from the fact that, oh, good, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. By the end of the day, I would have completed all these things which I'm supposed to do. Whether it is this type of work or that type of work, doesn't matter. Of course, in course of time, he may have more choice between different types of work, and then he may choose things which he is more naturally inclined to do. Okay, so this doesn't go against that. Going towards activity, preferring responsibilities which are more natural and swabhavik, which is what Bhagavad-gita also recommends. Because when we do activities which are more natural and swabhavik for us, there will be less conflict within us. We are more smooth and committed, and the work also happens properly. There is no struggle. And so dharma is aligned to that. But here it doesn't refer to that. Here it refers to within the course of our mandated activities, certain types of things are more pleasing, and therefore I want to do more of them. Certain types of things are not so pleasing. So the example given by, for example, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he talks about how um, a normal, in the Vedic system, supposed to get up early in the morning and have a bath. So having a bath in cold water, in those days there were no geysers and heaters and so on like we have today. People, if they had to heat water, they would have to first make a fire and then place a pot on the fire and then heat it. All that would take a long time, but you don't have so much time. You have to get up in the morning and immediately have a bath and then start your puja, start your meditation. In fact, if we do that today, we will benefit tremendously, and that's what we should do. So now in the winter time, taking a bath in water is not at all pleasing. In the summer, it is very pleasing, right? So therefore, he says this kind of distinction should not be done. Whether it is summer or winter, the person should go for the bath in the same enthusiasm that he has at any time. There should be no difference. So this is sāttvika karma. Karma done without any preference, this and that, liking, disliking, pushing oneself without attachment to the work, but attachment to the concept of duty. That this is the duty that I have to do, and this is for a larger purpose. It's for the larger good of society. It's my responsibility. Doing it that way is sāttvika karma. What is rājasa karma? यत्तु कामेप्सुना कर्म साहंकारेण वा पुनः क्रियते बहुलायासं तद्राजसमुदाहृतम्. So, this is actually dominant today. We talk about, especially people who became successful. We see so many articles today. Every single day, you get forwards on WhatsApp, on your Android, if you're using Android or if you're using the iPhone, whatever you're using, you'll see these messages popping up. Oh, so how somebody became a millionaire, how somebody became a multi-billionaire within 5 years, the kind of hard work they did, lot of effort, exertion, okay, and how much pride they take in that, doing that. They gave their life to it, burned themselves out completely. So this is rājasa karma. Rājasa karma done with the selfish craving for its fruit. I want to make, 1,000 crores. I want to make 10,000 crores. Within 5 years, my company should have a turnover of 10,000 crores. I want to own properties. I want to buy my own island. I want to have my own private ship. I want this. I want that. I want to become. So this kind of a I want kind of a drive which inside, which is what motivates most of the population, right? Most of the population is driven by that, at least the population that is visible to us in the media and so on. Uh, of course, we do have a lot of people who are not like that. Of course, that's also true. It's not that everybody is like that. A lot of people are not driven by that. And among them, a lot of people are not driven by anything. They are just lazing around. That's also there. So, this is particularly talking about those who are driven by that selfish craving, and they exert effort that drives them, that desire and the hope of getting that fruit, the thought of the enjoyment which comes after getting that fruit. That is the motivator. That motivates one, the dream of that beautiful house, the dream of that enormous bank balance, the dream of the power which comes with it, the dream of that position, the dream of all the appreciation that other people will give when that happens. So that drives, that gives the energy, that gives the energy to to exercise effort, exert oneself. And one does not mind the burnout which happens. One does not mind having to sometimes take medicines to calm the mind. One may take suppressants, and this is one of the reasons why people become addicted to alcohol or things, which because they give some apparent relief when there is too much stress and conflict and so on. And obviously, in doing that, there is a strong sahankarena. Ahankarena saha iti sahankaraha. Sahankarena va punaha. Means with the ahankara, that I am the doer, I am the person who did this, I am doing it, I will show them how to do it. मैं दिखाऊंगा राजनीति क्या है, ये राजनीति नहीं है. So this kind of a language, okay, I will show, I am doing, I am the doer, I am the hero. This kind of feeling is very strong in rājasa karma. This kind of a drive is called rājasa karma. So sometimes people have this doubt, many people have asked me this doubt, that unless you have rajoguna, you can't perform action. So all action requires rajoguna. Rajoguna is also important. So this understanding is wrong. So rajoguna is not required to perform action, because just now we read about sattvic action. If somebody has very high degree of sattva, they will still perform all the action. In fact, they will do it even better because their mind is not clouded by illusory things. Their mind is very clear. They know why they are doing it, and they are connected to the Supreme very strongly. So rajoguna is not required for any action. Uh, Action can happen with sattva guna alone also. Right? Of course, to have somebody with only sattva guna is a very rare case. It may be impossible because in this material existence it says that all the three gunas are present together. But it's not that unless there is rajoguna, action will not happen. That is not true. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapekshya cha paurusham mohat arabhyate karma yattat tamasa muchyate. Tamasa karma. So tamasa karma is karma done where there is stupidity, there is foolishness in the action. So it says anubandham kshayam himsam paurusham cha anapekshya. Anapeksha means apeksha, one meaning of the word apeksha is expectation, or apeksha also means regard, consideration. Apeksha word is also used in the sense of consideration or regard. So anapeksha means disregard or non-consideration. So without consideration of anubandha, kshaya, himsa and paurusha. Mohat arabhyate. So what do these four words mean? Anubandham. Anubandham means the consequence of my action. So whenever you do one thing, then there is always some consequence to that, right? For example, if I go and say thank you to somebody in a very polite manner, that person may smile back at me and again say you're welcome, or again, or may just say thank you, or may say that oh, no need to thank me. So whatever it is, that exchange is a pleasant exchange and there is a pleasant consequence of that. But on the other hand, you go and pick up a quarrel with somebody and utter some harsh words to that person. There is a consequence of that too. So every action has some kind of a immediate consequence in this world, right? But a person who does action without thinking, what will that lead to? What can that lead to? Because he only sees the immediate fruit of the action. For example, somebody may steal something, okay? Or let's take the example of a student. He has to submit an assignment. He has to submit now, somehow or the other, he has to submit. So he goes to the internet somewhere, downloads something, copies something from somewhere, pastes it here and there, creates something and submits it. Does not think what can happen if I submit a plagiarized report. Does not think that maybe the prof will easily find out, right? Does not think, it doesn't occur to him. But that prof already has thought about it, that some students may plagiarize, so he's got a software and everything. He immediately catches this guy. So now he has to face the consequence of that. So this fellow has not thought about it. That's called anubandham anapekshya. The next is kshayam. Kshaya means erosion of something, the depreciation of something, something becoming less, diminishing, or it means destruction or cost, expenditure, right? By doing that, something gets eroded. For example, if I smoke a cigarette, my lungs will get eroded, right? If I drink alcohol persistently over some time, my liver will get damaged. Similarly, different things, whatever I do, there may be a destruction or a cost involved in it which is harming not only me, very often harming others too. A lot of things harm others, but no regard for that. I don't care. How does it matter? Right? Sometimes we see political leaders doing that. They take decisions very boldly, they announce it proudly, even though so many others point out to them that this will actually do good to you, no doubt, and it will do good to maybe some people who are around you, who voted for you. But so many others will suffer because of doing this. So don't do it, or do it in a different way. But I don't care because I want to do it. I am the decider. Himsa. Himsa means, let's say, harm in a different way, like somebody gets killed, right? Or someone's life is permanently damaged. Himsa. Paurusham. Paurusham means the ability. Without consideration, am I capable of doing this? Before committing to an activity, am I capable? Is it within my means to do it? Without thinking about that. So, this also we see sometimes we also do that in enthusiasm. We get excited about something and just commit to it. We just take it up without thinking what it involves to do that, without properly being informed about what it involves to do, where it will take me, without thinking of all that, just take it up. And after 2 days, leave it. So, without thinking of the ability of one's own, without thinking of one's own ability to do that action. Mohat, moham means ignorance, confusion, lack of proper knowledge, delusion, thinking of oneself to be more than one really is, or sometimes thinking of oneself to be less than what one is. Okay, so mohat arabhyate karma yat tat tamasam uchyate. Such kind of karma is tamasa. So you can see how clearly jnana and karma are divided in terms of the three sāttvika, rājasa, and tāmasa. And naturally, what the Bhagavad Gita is telling us that we should do sāttvika karma guided by sāttvika jnana. In both of them, there is complete detachment. There is equality of vision. There is seeing everyone with the same lens, seeing, uh, you know, seeing the goodness in people, and doing activity as a matter of duty, as kartavyata, not for the selfish craving, the selfish gain that comes out of it. Because the actual gain in not selfishly craving for the fruit is something far higher. And that is that happiness which exists inside us. Overall, the Bhagavad Gita makes us aware that just like there is a universe that we see around us, there is actually a universe that we don't see. And that universe is within us. There is a huge, infinite universe within us, and that is where our real happiness lies. Our happiness is not really in this external universe, the one that we are conditioned to. For many, many lifetimes, for innumerable lifetimes, we have been conditioned to a happiness, and of course, the accompanying miseries too, of this external universe. So we have learned, and we are learning, and we want to learn how to avoid that misery from the external universe and go towards the happiness which this external universe gives us. We have no awareness about the internal universe. The Bhagavad Gita turns us inward and says, look, there is an internal universe, and learn how to overcome the miseries in that internal universe. and discover the happiness in that internal universe, because that is what is real happiness. That is infinite happiness. And that will always stay with you. Because external happiness is very temporary. Internal happiness, if you discover it, it will always stay with you. So I just said, remove the internal misery. What does that mean? Internal misery exists in all of us in the form of kama, krodha, moha, mada, matsarya. So these are our enemies: kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya. They're called six vairis or shadripavaha, six enemies that reside inside us. They are the cause of that misery. Remove them, destroy them, and make way for that internal happiness which already exists inside. It doesn't have to be created. It's only something to be discovered inside. Discover it. That's what the Bhagavad Gita says. So we will continue from here in the next class. In this class, we have covered 8 shlokas. We have seen how there is a knowledge aspect to action, and we've also seen 3 types of jnana and 3 types of karma according to the 3 gunas of prakriti. I'll stop with this, and I'll now look forward to your questions, comments, etc. I hope that again today my audio was clear. Let me give you the permission to unmute yourself so that you can now ask me the questions. If you have any comments too, please feel free to make your comments. Yes, anyone? Jayashri has raised her hand. Do you have any question?
Uh, I wanted to say something about the 18th shloka. Can you please go back to that slide?
Yeah,
Um, Not the Sāttvika Jnana, which is the 19th one, is it?
that's the 21st, I think.
Um,
20th, yeah, here.
20.
Here,
Okay.
here, yeah.
So just I wanted to add one point here that how what is the difference between Sāttvika Jnana and Rājasika Jnana?
Hmm,
The Sāttvika Jnana is something like what we see in a Sthita Prajna,
hmm,
or not or, and also the shloka that we learned in the 5th chapter, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne
hmm.
Brahmane Gavihastini
Yes.
Shunicha Prapatye Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. So this shloka is similar to those shlokas where the person who has this sattvic jnana, he knows that the person standing before him is either an elephant or a chandala or a dog, and he behaves accordingly, and he knows that the person is the jivatma there, is not to be differentiated. He has to behave like equally with the jivatmas, but the jivatmas who have got that body of a elephant or a chandala, it is because of the gunas, the prakriti gunas, uh, due to which they are behaving like they are having the body of elephant. The jivatma is having the body of an elephant or a chandala or a dog.
Yeah.
So the person with sattvika jnana is not uh, bound, or he is not affected by the external appearance of the jivatma, um, as compared to a rajasika jnani, where he like all of us, like when we speak to a very uh, elite person, then our feeling is very different. The hangover is still there, and we get affected. We definitely get affected as compared to when we see a dog. we shoo it away and things like that. We do get affected. So, but the Sattvika Jnani is not affected. He is like a Sthita Prajna. So, I just wanted to add that point here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the meaning of sthita prajnatva. The consciousness is well situated. When one is in a high degree of sattva, when sattva is very high by practices, by living a very sattvic life, means one's meditation, contemplation on the Shastra, one's diet, lifestyle, everything is sattvic, then one is able to see everything uniformly, like you said, and does not get disturbed easily because all the time the knowledge protects that person. That knowledge helps that person to see things in the correct way. And even if disturbances arise in the mind, that person is able to remain in control, even in the presence of disturbances.
Yes.
Yes, Anjana.
In addition to that, the point that ma'am just shared, so is that when we are comparing, when a person witnesses three different forms of living beings, like one animal, another chandala, and person, or is it also we can also extend this argument to human beings with different gunas, like all the
Yes,
three as human, let's say, and but having different sanskars.
yes,
And so, is that also like one of the sattvic property of a person, that they'll never differentiate between a person who's like highly respectful towards them, let's say one, another is like not that not showcasing those kind of attributes, and uh, but then treating them as equal, and then having being unaffected by them, is that also applicable in line with that argument?
yeah, yes, it is. At the fundamental level, it is. So, at the fundamental level, different human beings, some human beings are very friendly towards us. They show respect, they show regard, and they interact with us in a pleasant way. There are other human beings who are sometimes hostile, inimical, or disrespectful. So we encounter both. Now, at the base level, yes, with the sattvic vision, one is able to see them equally from inside. But in dealing with them, when we have to actually deal with them, then we need to deal with them in the way that is appropriate to deal with them. So the mind remains peaceful in both cases. There is detached. So there is no attachment to the person who is, you can say, respectful to us. Because that person is respectful and pleasant with us all the time, we start inclining towards that person and become favorable to that person. No, we also interact with that person in a pleasant way. We enjoy that. We accept that joy which comes. It is not that we reject the joy that comes in interacting with a pleasant person. We experience it and acknowledge it. To experience joy is natural for us, so we welcome that. And we may not welcome the person in our inside ourselves who is unpleasant to us, but we have to deal with them. So when we deal with them in the practically intelligent way that is meant to be dealt with them, right? By observing how, you know, different people, other people also deal with them, and how dealing with them in a particular way leads to the best outcome in that particular work. We deal with them accordingly and then close the matter. So internally, there is this vision that everybody is the same. But because of the three gunas, this person is behaving in this way, that person is behaving in that way. And by doing that discrimination, we're able to see why some people behave in that way, why they don't behave in the other way. That ability to discriminate becomes even better as we contemplate more and more of this. So, this is a iterative thing. Learning happens iteratively.
So, sir, you mean at the action level, it would be customized as per the person and as
Yeah.
per the appropriation, right? At the
Yes.
action level.
Yeah.
But what remains same from the doer's perspective is the vision that you said, that
Yeah.
all are same,
Yeah.
and there is no like personal grudge against anybody while we are dealing with them appropriately.
Yes.
It is just out of pure requirement and nothing like a personal retaliation or like that. That's
Yes.
what you mean, is it?
Yes. Yes. At this stage in the sadhana level, we need to remind ourselves of that. But because we are able to see that this person is only a jivatma, like me, acting under the influence of the three gunas, we deal with that person. I'm talking about the unpleasant person now, the person who's hostile with us, who's disrespectful to us, or who cheats us. We deal with that person in the manner it's required, in the sense that we don't keep any major involvement with that person. To the extent required, we deal with that person and then stop dealing with that person. That is the
Right.
practical side of it, the practical side of that. Internally, we know that it's only a jivatma acting under the influence of their gunas.
So that we don't take things to our own attached
Yeah, so they
mind.
don't know, they need not know that we are looking at them like that. We
Right.
won't be telling anyone this way that we are looking at everybody like a jivatma. If you tell some this outside, nobody will understand it also, right? Nobody understands this. Only those who are discussing the shastra like this, they will
Right.
understand and appreciate. But in a practical situation, oh, you are also a jivatma like me, so I forgive you.
Uh, yes,
This
yes.
kind
No,
of language is meaningless.
equality, yes, yes. That equal vision, I think that is taken for like that doesn't have to be like said aloud, but that differentiation you were saying, like how we deal with them differentially,
Yeah, yeah,
it also doesn't have to go to the mind of the person who's doing. Like done and dusted, but don't take it to your
yeah,
don't get attached to it. That's what
yeah.
you meant, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll give you a
Like
crude
there's
analogy for this. Just like in the laboratory, let's say in the school we had laboratory, right? We had different machines in the lab. We had chemicals in the chemistry lab. We are dealing, pouring chemicals from one test tube to another test tube, right? They're all
yes,
out there, and different chemicals behave in different ways, right? Sometimes you mix something, it boils over. Sometimes you mix something, it becomes cold, right? So, so you see, in the lab, different things behave in different ways, but you are detached. You just have to observe how it behaves and then write a report. So,
right.
so I'm just talking about how the detachment comes when we just consider ourselves a witness of everything. So we remind ourselves that our existence exists internally. My inner strength, my real bhav is inside me. It is not dependent on that person's behavior. So detachment means detaching my emotions, my feelings from that person's behavior, regardless of whether that person is praising me or is disrespecting me. So it's towards both. It's not only towards the person who's disrespecting me, towards the person who's praising. Only then it works. It has to be towards both. There is complete withdrawal inside. That's the meaning of saying in like sthita pragyata, the word which was used now, like the tortoise withdraws its limbs within itself. It's able to withdraw. The moment it has to withdraw, it immediately withdraws and becomes quiet. It's within itself. So Chittaprajna is somebody who is very active in this world, but is fully withdrawn within himself. Okay, this is the meaning of withdrawing in a sattvic sense. Is fully in control inside.
So one small added question from them. Can I ask?
Yeah, yeah, please, please. But
So
whatever I said so far, is it? Are you able to
yes,
relate with it, or is
yes,
it?
yes. When you said that withdrawn and outside, we should. Did you say the last statement that the person is withdrawn, but yeah, active in the world, as you said? So that active, when you said those are the activities that you said that we should deal with them practically and whatever is appropriate. That is the active form of a sattvic person that you meant. And when you said that withdrawn, that means internally we should be unbiased and not having any hard feelings um, and our as you said emotions and feelings should not be from their behavior.
Yeah.
So
Our,
outside actions are required as per the need be. That's what you mean, right?
yeah, yeah. So actions from our side are required as necessary in the situation,
Oh yes.
but
So yeah.
But we should not get influenced by both types of people, the people who are
Right,
unkind to us and the people who are kind to us.
right, right. For our own internal stability.
Yes.
So my
So,
question actually was that when we become more and more stable inside, does the activity also reduce? Like the need to give that appropriate behavior and the need to actually act in a way that that is needed for them to realize whatever they didn't do well or
yeah, it might. You might
want.
become indifferent to them. Like you may say
Right,
that there is
right.
no need to tell that
Right,
person. Initially, you want to because
right.
you want to tell the person what you think of that person. But
Mhm.
as you start developing your inner universe, as we start developing our inner universe, we realize that there may not be a need to that. That person anyway won't regard my words seriously, or that person won't get any benefit by my saying that because they don't care for what I'm saying anyway. I don't have any grudge against them. I don't have any ill feelings towards them. I wish them well. In fact, in our contemplation in the morning, I've been talking about this also earlier, how when we do meditation in the morning every day, we should begin by contemplating on those who don't like us first, and then wish well for them, wish happiness for them. May happiness come to them. So with this mind, we internally manage this. We manage the situation internally, and we may not go and tell them, we're just indifferent to
That,
them.
that
Exter-
action will itself reduce like
yeah,
in due period of time.
yeah, just stay away from them and deal with them only when it has to be done, only when the dealing is required. Otherwise,
Right,
don't deal with them at all.
right.
Right?
That may we may reach that like situation when we actually don't feel like dealing at all, and we are at peace with whatever it is.
Yes, that is maturity. In fact, many people who don't read Bhagavad-gita also arrive at the same conclusion, a similar conclusion. They may not know sattvic, rājasic, tamasic, but they end up doing this because by their own reflection upon how things happen in this world and observation and seeing how other more mature people are doing things, they observe and they also learn it. And you'll see some sattvic behavior in people who don't even know all these things. So we can learn from them also. We learn from the Shastra, we see that behavior in some people, and we can then correlate the two and then say that, yes, let me also develop that quality. And it becomes even stronger when we do meditation. It becomes easier and stronger, and we get more strength inside to do this kind of behavior. It doesn't come just like that. It has to be done by practice, again and again, contemplation, practice, calming the mind, and over time it develops.
Fully agree that. Please, thank you so much.
Mhm. It's easy to talk about it, but it develops with practice. Abhyasa. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. Mind is controlled by practice again and again, doing the same thing, encountering the same situation. Learning happens, practice happens, and then it matures. Slowly maturing happens.
Yes, so and with my limited experience of like God has been very graceful with uh, not putting me into many difficult situations, but yes, uh, a few here and there, like many short experiences from there, says that as you said, that practice with practice we learn, and every time. By practice we mean that we are in that difficult situation, so at that time it is difficult, but once we come out of it, the cycle becomes shorter and shorter, like
Yeah,
the cycle of suffering. That's my like
yeah.
minute experience has been so far, that of course we do come across these difficult situations, but with mindfulness, with being aware of our own self, the period of suffering becomes smaller, and
Nice,
and
nice,
then
nice
may and
realization.
then
Yeah.
yes sir, and there may come a time uh, by God's grace that, as you said, we may not be altered at all, we may not be affected at all.
Yes, you're able to see it like you see the chemicals in the chemistry lab.
Not currently, but yes, I
Yeah,
strive to
I'm
some.
saying eventually,
Yes,
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 eventually, yes, of
yeah,
course, I would like to, and I would pray for that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, good realization, Anjana. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Sarthak,
Pranam, sir.
Pranam.
I had a question on similar lines. So I would like to talk more about bhakti or shastra over here. So once someone gets a taste, so it is very well accepted in the shastra that if someone gets a taste of the higher thing, that is the supreme consciousness or Sri Bhagavan, then they start losing taste for the lower things. So then there is a detachment for worldly things because there is an attachment to a superior world. Now, in case of sadhakas, so if the sadhakas begin their practices and they might be getting out of touch of their material activities or duties. But still, in that case, does it benefit their immediate stakeholders, as in their family members, their immediate family members? So, why I ask this is because some examples which come to my mind, although those are of siddhas, not of sadhakas, but say Shri Buddha or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or say Sant Tukaram. So all of these were enlightened people and they left the material world altogether and they were on a path to enlighten the world. But what happens to the immediate family members of sadhakas, even if not siddhas, of sadhakas? Are they also benefited by the spiritual practices of a sadhaka?
Of course, our Shastra says that the universal being takes care of them. I mean, uh, for example, a person like a great saint who's inclined towards spiritual advancement and who has that level of maturity leaves their family, who might have deep attachment to them, and goes for a higher purpose like this. Then they also get the benefit of that. They also get the benefit of that, and when they eventually uh, have to leave their body, they get the reward of this activity. Jayashri can throw more light on this, and she has raised her hand. Yes, Jayashri.
No, my point is not to answer Sarthak's question, but just to uh, uh, tell him a story that comes in Mahabharata, because he has asked a very very good question, for which Mahabharata has a beautiful story, and through the story you can take your own lesson. So the story, I think you know the story about the dharma vyarha and the pativrata Sarthak. Have you read that story about that Brahmana, Kaushika Brahmana going and have you read the story?
Sorry, ma'am, I cannot recollect
So
that
you
story.
can you can narrate it briefly.
Okay, so there's a Brahmana by the name Kaushika. He gives up his home and he goes and meditates in the forest, and he does sadhana for many many years. And one day, when he is meditating under a tree, birds, you know, he some they what some drops fall on his head, and he looks at the bird angrily, and just then the birds fall lifeless to the ground. And then this Brahmana thinks that the birds have died because of his uh, the sadhana shakti that he has developed. And then after this episode, he goes to the nearby village for alms, and he knocks at the door, and one lady answers, and just then the husband of that lady enters the house. Then she says, please wait here for some time. I will attend to my husband and then attend to you. I'll give you alms. So this Kaushika Brahmana waits there, and after a short while she comes out with the alms. And then again he looks at her very angrily. Then the lady, she says, you think I am that bird that you burnt in the you because of which because of your look the birds died, and you think am I that bird in the forest? So this man is shocked. This lady, village lady, sitting in her house, attending to household work, a very ordinary woman. How does she know about what happened in the forest? Because nobody was there other than him. How did she know? So this she is called a pativrata lady in the story, in the Mahabharata story. She is called a pativrata. There's no name given to her except that she is called a pativrata. So she says, "Oh, what you have acquired so far through your sadhana, I have got it through my pativrata duties." So this Brahmana requests her to accept him as his shishya and all that. She says, "No, I cannot. I'm a lady. I cannot give you any jnana. You go to that nearby village. There's a person. Um, uh, there's a vyadha. Yeah, vyadha is like he's not a hunter, but he sells meat. He works in a meat shop. So you go to him, he will guide you. He will tell you what to do. So this man goes and then he goes and meets this Vyadha, and he sees that he's he called Dharma Vyadha in the story. And this Brahmana sees that that man is selling meat, and the place is very dirty, filthy. I mean, a typical meat shop. This Dharma Vyada looks at Kaushika Brahmana. He comes out of the meat shop, makes the Brahmana sit in a nice place, and tells him, uh, "You, I know that you met the Pativrata lady, and I also know about the incident that happened in the forest regarding the birds. So you have come to meet me about you want to know more about this jnana. So this is not the right place. We'll go in the evening to my house. Till then, you sit here." So the Brahmana will be astonished. How can a person working in a meat shop know about what all happened? So like that, and then finally evening he goes home. The Dharma Vyada goes home, and he sees that that house is very neat, very clean. It's exactly opposite to the meat shop that he has been working, and there's a nice and small neat room where his parents are sitting. This Vyadha first attends to his old parents, makes them happy, makes them satisfied, gives them food, gives them water and everything, and then he attends to this Brahmana. And then there's a series of question answer session which happens between them. And then final conclusion is the Dharma Vyada tells this Brahmana, see the whatever sadhana you're doing by leaving your parents, it will not give you much benefit. First is your swadharma. Uh, you have old parents for whose care you have to take. So you please go back. Of course, Vyada doesn't tell him openly all this, but this is the conclusion at which the Brahmin arrives at. Then the Kaushika Brahmana goes back to his old parents. He looks after them. First, he does his Swadharma duties, and then Parodharma. So, for ordinary mortals like us, I think in the Gita also Bhagavan said somewhere that the Swadharma is very important. So, we have to attend to our Swadharma first, and then through Swadharma, Parodharma. So, Sarthak, any answers you got from this story?
Thank you for sharing this story, ma'am. I need to contemplate more on this story.
Somehow I thought that this story has an answer to what you have
Yes.
asked.
Yes, yes. So it says that if you attend to your duties, you will get spiritual progress. But
So attend,
my
yes.
question was the other way around. If you attend to spiritual progress, are your duties taken care of automatically? So I need to
Yeah,
contemplate
yeah.
more
So
on this.
it's actually both ways is true, because if you're also giving yourself to spiritual activities with a mature consciousness, if you have the maturity, you're not doing it just to escape from your normal responsibilities. If you're mature enough to do that, then that will also be taken care of. It should not be a case where there are people who, to escape from the difficulties and discomforts of normal responsibility, they take the garb of a person who has renounced and go to an ashram or take shelter there and try to get a peaceful life, do a little bit of work. Many of them also end up being very lazy, not doing anything, getting into quarrels and politics in the ashram. We see these things. Of course, not everybody is like that, definitely not, but we do have some people also like that. So if that happens, then definitely leaving the house was not a good choice. Taking responsibility for the family should come first. So only a person who is sufficiently mature to leave everything, leave the basic default responsibilities, should do that.
But in this case, those are not really sadhakas because the attraction for them is escapism, not the
Yeah,
higher truth.
yeah. So those who are doing it as escapism, for them there is no benefit, nor
Hmm.
probably will their parents benefit anything from that.
Right. But
So
attending to our duties can also help us in spiritual progress.
yeah, yeah. Because the whole Gita is oriented like that, doing our swabhava vihitam karma as yoga, karma yoga, right? And of course, the alternative is bhakti yoga, which is superior to karma yoga. So in both bhakti and in karma yoga, the practical duties which we have need not be given up. There are so many examples of bhakti where the people are living with their families, even the gopis with Krishna, the gopis who are always engaged in Krishna's seva. They are with their families, right? They take care of family, everything. They look like village women. They don't look like sannyasis. They're not wearing robes. They are just village women doing all their normal activity in the village, farming, taking care of the cows, the children, and everything.
In
Right. But
fact, Sattva, just correction in that statement, uh, Swadharma, doing one Swadharma only leads us to Parodharma. Like our goal, if our goal is moving towards Sthita Prajnata, then having family or not having family, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Our goal is Sthita Prajnata, wherever we are. So it's not like, okay, if I don't have family, will I become a better Sthita Prajna? That only that person has to answer. So it's not about the surroundings, it's about our internal strength, our internal contemplation, our internal swabhava, which determines how much closer to parodharma we can go. And swadharma is only the path, the instrument, everything.
yeah.
yes, ma'am.
So this requires a conscious effort to connect with Bhagavan. Whichever path of yoga we take, whether it's karma yoga or bhakti yoga, in both cases, that aspiration to connect with Bhagavan is the basis. Without Bhagavan, both of them are not successful. Of course, bhakti directly connects with Bhagavan. In karma yoga, Bhagavan becomes an instrument for us to connect to something higher.
Sir, it may be my naivety or say limited understanding, but what I feel so far, it is my feeling so far, that in certain cases it is easier for spiritual progress as opposed to others. So, for example, Rishi Vashishta is a Brahma Rishi. He is fully enlightened being, and so is said to be Raja Janak. So, in many cases, he is also said to be very not just scholarly but also an enlightened king. So, being an enlightened king, he is also able to do all his duties very much responsibly. As
Yeah.
in, there is a story when the city is on fire, and some highly regarded sage, I think Shukamuni or someone had come to him, and there that other Muni had got a little disturbed by the fire, but Raja Janak was able to deliver all his duties properly without being concerned by the fire per se. So
Yeah.
I feel that in certain duties or in certain roles, say for example, say of that of a rishi, it is easier to stay in samadhi or sthita prajnata as opposed to say being a leader or having a powerful position of responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Sarthak, actually, that's not true from my understanding. Sthita Prajnata is very individualistic. So, like, if you take the so there is another story. Okay, very short. I will tell you. There's a story which is there in many Puranas. In Ramayana also it's there. The story about Nimi, Raja Nimi and Vasishta. So Nimi and Vasishta, uh, Nimi wants to do one yajna and he wants his Purohita, Vasishta, to do it. But Vasishta is very busy because he has to go and do yajna in the Swargaloka of Indra. So he tells Nimi, wait for some time, I'll finish that yajna and come and uh, uh, do complete your yajna. But Nimi cannot wait. So he appoints somebody else and he finishes the yajna. And when Vasishta comes back, he finds that Nimi has already completed the yajna without him. So he becomes very angry and he curses Nimi. And Nimi in turn curses Vasishta. And both of them, Ramayana describes that both of them are very close to, they are already Sthita Prajnas. Nimi is described as a very, very, very highly realized Rajarshi. And they also succumb to this Krodha, this Shadvairis, just now sir has described. So it's very individualistic. So each one has to contemplate and get rid of it or get over this, the Shatripus that we have within us. It's there in all the Jivatmas, but to what degree it is there, we don't know. So this life and the surroundings and this this life that we have got with all the people around us, there it is like yajna. So it's the best opportunity for us to get rid of these ripus within us, not to escape from them or stay away from them. Not We have to get rid of them and become more sattvic.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, actually, the best way to resolve, because the Shastra has so many different opinions, so many different perspectives from so many different stories, but the common theme that runs is about bhakti, especially in Mahabharata. Uh, Mahabharata ultimately points to bhakti, just like Bhagavad-gita also points to bhakti as the simple solution for all complications. There's no complication in bhakti because it's one pointed. It is Krishna or Bhagavan in whichever form. Some people are attracted to Narayana in the four hands form of Krishna, Krishna with two hands holding a flute. Whichever form is attractive, be attracted or be attached to that form and engage in the service of that form, that particular deity. Bhakti is simple and straightforward. By doing bhakti, automatically all the benefits of any other form of yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, they automatically comes. The pragyatva is an automatic side effect of bhakti. So that is the best process. I mean, there is nothing to think much about it. And bhakti doesn't require one to leave one's family or anything. One can be in any situation, belong to any varna. It's universal. Bhakti is much more universal than any other system of yoga.
Yes, sir. So I understand that, and so much so that we have discussed that, especially in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, bhakti is the end goal, not just the means. But what we finally aspire for is Shuddha Bhakti.
Yeah.
But the complication why I thought might arise even in the path of bhakti, maybe it's from an external point of view. But if we take the examples of not sadhakas, even if I take the example of siddhas, say Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Sant Tukaram. So Sant Tukaram was so much so devoted to Vithala that he was completely, his mind was completely absorbed in Vithala, and as a result, materialistically, their family, his family was sidelined from his attention. But did their family also reap any results of his bhakti?
Yeah, they would have.
So
Yes. In the case of Dhruva, in the story of Dhruva, it is often mentioned that Dhruva's mother, Suniti, right? She also got the benefit of what Dhruva did eventually. So when Dhruva went to Vaikuntha, she also went with him, although she did not do all the sadhana that he did. But she was instrumental in his going to the forest, meditating, and so on. So the Shastra has this theme that whatever good we do, the others who are closely attached to us, from whom we have taken benefit and who are dependent on us, they will also get benefit. So whatever we did not do for them, by virtue of our commitment to our spiritual advancement, that will be more than compensated for. That is the theme in the Shastra. So we don't have to worry.
yes, thank you, sir. I think yes, thank you for answering.
Yeah, that's the simple resolution of that question. So simplicity is also very important. When we overthink, overanalyze, it doesn't take us anywhere. But be simple and start doing the path of bhakti. Start following the path of bhakti in a simple way with a few practices and constant contemplation. That's enough. And that itself will guide us as we go forward. Good. Are there any other questions from anyone? Or we can close today. Akshat, you have something to ask? Please.
Yeah, Pranam, sir.
Pranam.
Not really a question, sir. Just wanted to understand the at the beginning, sir. Today, the Guru prayer essentially. I think this was a longer one, sir. That you kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I chanted some more shlokas pertaining to Guru. Yes.
Okay, it's a continuation of the same prayer, sir. Or
No, no. The three shlokas, additional ones that I chanted, are composed by a saint by name Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Guruvashtakam. So Guruvashtakam is a set of 8 shlokas,
okay,
prayers to Guru, each of which each shloka ends by saying, "I bow down to the lotus-like feet of my Guru." So I chanted three of those shlokas, three of those 8 shlokas.
and understood, sir. Thank you so much. It sounded very nice. I'll look it up.
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you. And so we will close today's class. Please join me for the Antya Mangalam. We will chant the Hare Krishna mantra together. Om Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobhramanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Lokas Samastas Sukhino Bhavantu. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you for joining the class today, and please join us again next Sunday.